So think of it, agent almost as a personification of a junior engineer, junior marketer, because they have the same set of tools and the same set of instructions that you might give to somebody. What's missing, which is the last piece, is the context. And the context could be, but I work for Robynn, and so my product is different, my writing style is different, my brand assets are completely different, it has its own identity. So now that becomes the context with a set of tools and a set of instructions. So that is the latest genre or the latest evolution of large language models or AI, which lets you do things. That's why they are called agents.
Welcome to CMOs Unscripted. This is Real Talk with today's top marketing leaders. And as I promise you every episode, no filters, no fluff. This is just bold insights and it's honest conversations that cut through the market noise. I'm Lisa Martin. Now, if you're a CMO or a marketing leader or an aspiring CMO, we want CMOs Unscripted to be your playbook every other week. So please subscribe on YouTube, get notified the moment a new episode drops. Today's guest is a longtime CMO and now is CEO and founder, and my colleague, one of my mentors, Madhukar Kumar. Let me tell you, Madhukar he's a thought leader in marketing innovation. He's a really strong advocate for transforming marketing teams and tech stacks. We're going to be talking about the future of marketing, how agents and technology are reshaping the stack and marketing teams, and what GEO means for modern marketing leaders. Madhukar, welcome. It is so great to have you on CMOs Unscripted. Thank you for joining me.
Wow. Thank you for hyping me up, Lisa. And so good to talk to you again.
Likewise. You have such a fascinating career path. I'm going to share a little bit with the audience, but I'd love for you to go into more detail. Because guys, check this out. Madhukar went from being a journalist in India to then teaching web design to developer to product manager to CMO and now founder and CEO of Robynn. Madhukar, take us through that journey and the lessons that really stuck with you along the way that you now implement in your new role as CEO and founder.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thanks, and really good to be part of this podcast. I've been looking at this for a while, and I'm so glad that I'm on it now. So just like you said, I started off my career, as you could tell from my gray hair, way back in the 90s. And so I was a reporter for a newspaper called Hindustan Times, and there I was a city reporter. So somewhere around 98, 99, when the World Wide Web thing happened, I figured out how to make web pages. And so a friend and I, we would we were single, so we would sit in the evening, take the entire edition of the newspaper, turn it into website. Wow. That kind of became the, initially digitalht.com, and then later on went on to become hindustantimes.com. So at that point, I got a full scholarship to come to the US to both teach web design, because it was a new skill at that time, but also do my master's in journalism and mass comm. So while I was doing that, I got deeper and deeper into software engineering. And then I said, yeah, it's great. I now want to go into software engineering. So I ended up doing a dual master's and did my master's in software engineering. Fun fact, at that point in 2003, my master's thesis was on a topic called multi-agent software engineering. And we are talking about agents 22 years ago when
really?
ML, AI and thing. Yeah. And so it made it.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was my professor, Scott Deloach's project, and eventually it made it to a book as well. So from that point onwards, I went on to become an engineer, came to the Bay Area. Somebody said, hey, you're good at this, go try this. So from the engineer, I went on to become product manager and then eventually CMO. So along the way, I worked in companies like Zora, companies like Oracle, where I ran their product strategy for their customer experience suite of products. And then I found my sweet spot, which is more for a technical audience or developers.
Yeah. And
that was Redis, and then much more recently, Single Store, and so on. And throughout, I always liked the idea of crafting things, whether it was through code or through writing. I think the basic principles stay the same, where you have something in your brain, you want to get it out, and then you express it in some way, and then you go iterate on it, and after a while, you feel good about it. So that's been my overall journey, all the way from a journalist to software engineer to PM to now being a founder and CEO of Robynn.
That's amazing. I love how you went from mass communication to software engineering. There's got to be a parallel though that we'll have to connect on that some other point. But you have such breadth in your background, and the technical side, the developer side. We talk to so much to developers these days, and really develop a lot of tools for them. So understanding their language, and that's where marketing comes in. But now we're in this fast forward. You mentioned agents back 20 years ago, which I didn't realize. We're in this acceleration, like the Tron world of AI accelerating everything. And you've been talking about agents for marketing for a while. What exactly are they? Because agentic AI, I'm hearing a lot more about it from CMOs. Why are they such a pivotal topic right now?
Yeah. So at a very base level, agents, if you think about it, is the next generations of large language model. So 2 years ago, ChatGPT came out, and that was all about transformer models, and people used them for assistants. And that's where I still see a lot of marketing tech stack still being there. So, you add an assistant and you're talking to it. And over a period of time, it has knowledge about you, what you've asked, and then it has a few more knowledge that it has been trained with. Think of it now, if you gave that intelligent being with a lot of knowledge some additional tools that it could also go execute. So that's what's called tool calling. Now imagine, with its intelligence and the set of tools, now you give it a goal and say, hey, I want you to do this, and I always want you to do these steps, verify it, and then run these tools. And if something happens, do this. That is an agent. Okay. So think of it, agent almost as a personification of a junior engineer, junior marketer, because they have the same set of tools and the same set of instructions that you might give to somebody. Now, what's missing, which is the last piece, is the context. And the context could be, but I work for Robynn, and so my product is different, my writing style is different, my brand assets are completely different, it has its own identity. So now that becomes the context with a set of tools and a set of instructions. So that is the latest genre, or the latest evolution of large language models, or AI, which lets you do things. That's why they are called agents. Now, when it comes to marketing, we can apply this in a bunch of different places. And I've been
let's stick
working
on that.
with it. Yeah, so I've been working on agents both on the databases side of things, but also primarily for RAG, right, which is retrieval augmented generation, information retrieval. And in software engineering, the whole agent space has gone 2 levels further, which is now agents calling other agents, and you manage your context. So that context could be, this is my goal, this is what I'm doing, but now I'm going to spawn off 5 other agents with different tools to go different things. So that, if you take that concept, is literally now running an entire set of tools for any organization. And that's kind of the concept of Robynn, which is a multi-agent marketing platform. So you can take use cases, you can have agents own those use cases, and then you stitch it together into playbooks. And those playbooks could be SEO, GEO, it could be running an ad, a whole bunch of other things that we do in marketing.
So you talked about you mentioned the word evolution, and that's such an important word from a contextual perspective, because that's what we're seeing, but it's happening so fast. So if an agent can be like a junior marketer, how are agents changing the way marketing teams are collaborating, making decisions, and are they reshaping the marketing tech stack?
Yeah, that's a really good question, but it has layers and layers to it. So first, let's look at the marketing organization. And in my entire experience, I've worked for companies where I was the only marketing person and I was seeding marketing, all the way to single store where we had about 37 people, and Oracle had about 225 people, and so on. So throughout, I always saw three big pillars of marketing. There is the demand generation side, and that's basically building pipeline for your sales team. There is much more recently in the last 5 years is PLG side, where you take the product, make it available for self-service. And then finally, there's the brand side. And the brand side is all about content, it's brand awareness, and so on. Now, if you take all three of these, there's an underlying base that's always missing, and that is the context about the entire company and the product. So the person who is building an ad and the person who is writing copy, maybe a product marketing person, to the person who is running a campaign, are in different portions of the product and they're not in sync. So what I tried to do is to bring that together into Robynn. That's one of the base constructs. And then, of course, there is the agents portion, which does the exact same things that a human would do, but using that context. So how does it affect the marketing team now? Our first customer that we are working with, and obviously they're a very small customer right now because they're launching the company, you would know, Yosh. So
yes.
they are trying this where you only have one person for your entire marketing team.
Okay.
That person then becomes more of an agent orchestrator and an architect versus trying to do 20 different things at the same time. And that could be, just doing research or crafting or taking action. So you're kind of now looking at all your agents and you have certain campaigns running and you're reviewing it more than actually doing stuff. And you always add that 10% on top of that. That, I think, is where the world is headed when the marketing teams are concerned, which might seem scary initially. But when you look at bigger teams, obviously, that's going to evolve very differently.
Absolutely.
I'll pause here. Yeah.
A question for you is agent-driven marketing, is that, and what you're doing with Robynn as this really kind of horizontal foundation and delivering that context, is that the next evolution of integrated marketing? Because we've been talking about integrated marketing for a long time now.
Yeah, that's to me, the reason I built Robynn is because as a CMO, I did not find that platform anywhere. And so that's the next part of your question, which is how's the tech stack evolving?
Right.
And so if you look at the traditional, tech stack of marketing, it has been the CRM, which basically is the table of your companies as well as the contacts and opportunities and activities associated with it, right? And then on the other hand, marketing has its own orchestration platform that could be Responses, Eloqua, and now, of course, things like La Growth Machine and now Clay.io. But there it's primarily for going and building MQLs or marketing qualified leads. Then that get into a CRM. And then I counted in one of my previous organizations where I worked, 23 other tools. And this is for a startup, which had barely 7 people. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. A lot of complexity probably in that too.
Exactly. So now you're hardwiring all these tools and your pipeline is broken and you ask somebody, what's your pipeline number? That person will give you a different answer than the other one.
Yeah.
So in terms of tech stack, I do feel that where we are headed, a lot of that is collapsing into agents. And agents can now do things that you would have had to manually do into a CRM or manually go and orchestrate thing. So at some point, I do feel these might get either become tools for agents or they get obviated because now agents, as they get more powerful, they can go create a table. They can show you that table. They can run analytics. They can orchestrate and run it. So instead of having 23 different tools, why not work on a canvas which gives you all the agents and has the tools to go do things you want it to do? In my mind, that's, I believe, is the evolution of the tech stack.
So then let's look at this shifts. And we talked about evolution and we talked about acceleration of technology, evolution of technology, but also the evolution of marketing. So there's a lot of really of power that these agents can deliver. Yosha's example is a great one of another startup small team that can now do so much more with less, which is a theme we have been hearing for years. But this is almost a paradigm shift in how businesses are going to be operating. And of course, as I mentioned, that accelerated pace, it's not slowing down. So how do marketing teams have to evolve over the AI era, the agentic era, in order to, even culturally, Madhukar, be able to modify their tech stacks, get out of their comfort zones, and maybe think differently on how they can impact revenue?
Yeah. So again, a very touchy topic, at least in my mind, because I'm very opinionated about it. And to put it slightly differently, I would say with great power sometimes comes great stupidity, because now what you see with AI tools, especially because you've added these AI tools, the number of emails and the outreach has just skyrocketed.
Right.
Just a
lot
funny
of noise.
example. Yeah, just a funny example. I changed my LinkedIn profile from, working in the previous as a CMO to stealth.
Yeah.
And I posted that, hey, just in sarcasm, that, hey, I just hired my first engineer. We grew by 100%. And
Yeah,
I
saw that.
I kid you not, I started getting LinkedIn emails saying, hey, we saw that you've done amazing things at Stealth and you just grew by 100%. Here's my Calendly link. Please pick 15 minutes to pick time to talk to me.
Yep.
And I get like 4 or 5 of those every day. So my point being, because things have become a lot easier, people have started, not everybody, have started to abuse it. So
right.
as humans, we have gotten better at it, right? I mean, you would see it too. As soon as you go into LinkedIn feed, I could tell within 3 seconds if this is written by AI or not. And you see those, right? You see those, that certain people who are not posting at all, now all of a sudden are using similar words that AI would use.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, I think the right balance of where marketing is headed is to have a genuine and authentic brand, which always comes with a human in the loop. So my way of thinking, or at least my opinionated way of thinking, is AI should help you do that 80 to 90% of manual work, which gives you more volume, but also more quality. And then the rest of the quality is brought in by the actual human, because that's where craft comes in. That's where creativity comes in. That's where taste comes in, which everybody has started to talk about. And so that's where I think the good marketing organizations will end up being, where you have some senior and some junior marketers. They know how to run agents. They decide which parts should be done by AI and which part should be done by humans. And that, I think, will be the right balance of what differentiates a really good marketing team and something that is just using automation to send out millions of emails.
I completely agree. I think that's a great, really kind of outlook that you set there in terms of what the new horizon should look like and how it can really drive efficiencies and really give the customers at the end of the day that personalized experience that they want without being intrusive, like you were saying, or having tools being abused, because it's happening. So now it's about kind of putting not the brakes on, because we know the train is down the track. But I want to talk about now the role of technology and GEO. You've been talking about GEO in marketing. I mentioned that's new to me. I called it GEO, but talk about what that is, what GEO is. I should have gotten the whole GEO SEO. I didn't. But what is it, and how are organizations leveraging it, and how is it different from SEO?
Yeah, that's again one of those things where I even see a lot of new companies. In fact, in the previous place I worked, there's a company that was just doing GEO. And so let's define the basics for maybe the audience who probably have not heard of this. So SEO, of course, is when somebody searches for your brand, your product, or anything that's relevant to you, it shows up in the first page of Google search.
Right.
And then a few months back, they introduced something called AI Overview. So your AI Overview is right next to the result. The AI will go in and, summarize, but it will also have a citation back to the original page of the article. Now, that search behavior is changing over a period of time after several years since Google came about, because a lot of the things that now people want to search is probably not in Google, it's in ChatGPT, or it's in
Oh,
Perplexity,
right.
or it's
Claude.
in Anthropic Claude.
Yes.
So there, now what they do, or what that AI or LLM does, is instead of giving you links, it will answer the question based on the training data. But now what it also does, it'll go out and read on the web, and then bring back the summary of that result and show it to you. So a lot of people are saying, oh, GEO, now my brand should be inside of ChatGPT or Perplexity when somebody asks a question. But the reality is, at least things are changing, but this is my understanding, is that those large language models, and that's what called a GEO or generative experience optimization,
Yeah.
they're actually using the SEO principles under the hood and sometimes the APIs to figure out which are the most relevant results, then summarize it. And now
Right.
people are getting more sensitive, so you also get citations. So there are two things that come out of this. The SEO principles still exist, at least for now. So if you write a better article that's useful and relevant to the keywords, that's always going to rank better. And the second thing is that the top of the funnel, which used to be a search, like what is, I don't know, real estate financing? Those kind of queries are no longer probably going to be useful if you write those articles at the top, because the what is kind of search and questions is now being asked into ChatGPT. And so there is probably a change when you are trying to do GEO. You should think about the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel, but use the same principles. And the SEO principle stays the same, but go deeper into building the content that is specific to your brand and then specific to the usefulness of those topics in the middle and the bottom of the funnel. That's kind of what I would say GEO is and where it's headed towards.
I love that. So when you were first talking, Madhukar, I thought, is this SEO 2.0? But it sounds like from what you're saying, the fundamental principles of SEO should still be implemented. So this is a better together scenario, SEO and GEO. Is that how marketing leaders should be thinking about implementing GEO into their strategies?
I think so. And, there's no doubt there's a lot of misinformation or misunderstanding over there, right? Like a lot of people say, hey, but overall traffic has gone down by like 18-20% for every company. And this might be true because we are seeing a shift where a lot of search is not coming through Google, but through ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is useful for the end user because today I don't want to sift through 5 spammy articles on Google to learn about something. But if I am looking for an actual product, maybe I don't want to go to ChatGPT because it's giving me its opinion. Or I would say, give me opinion, but give me citations. So there's always, again, the human in the loop that comes in to say, okay, I'm going to do a little bit of my research as well. So you're absolutely right. I think in many ways, GEO is kind of a tentacle of SEO, which is affecting both sides, both the SEO portion as well as the GEO portions.
Got it. Oh, fascinating. Before we get to our close, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions. We're in this such an interesting time. ChatGPT isn't even 3 years old yet. And so much, my mom's bestie, who's almost 80, loves ChatGPT. I use it all the time. I use it for creative inspiration. Everyone is embracing it. And the message has been for a long time now, even at tech trade shows from the likes of Michael Dell and Jensen Huang, if you're not on the AI train, you're too late. So in the AI era, you've gone from, that journalist to a developer to now CMO, CEO, founder now, I should say. What is your favorite marketing trend that you think right now is just maybe underrated in the AI era?
Yeah, I think it is definitely agents. We moved away from an era where it was wrapper around LLMs, right? So, and then ChatGPT comes up with a feature and that startup is gone. But now, because of agents, there are a few things that are different. You can use a different model that is good at different things. You can use a different set of tools. And based on your knowledge, you can use a certain workflow of how you do a certain things, right? Like for SEO, I always use, let's say, hub and spoke for generation of article. That's a framework that has worked for me. Or for research, I always go look at the web page, then look at the keywords. Then I would go and do a search on Ahrefs, SEMrush. Then I would go analysis. And this would take about a week. And sometimes if you go to an agency, it's about $5,000. But with agents, you can not only do that in a few minutes, but you can get to what you want to do, which is the really useful part of crafting in a much better prepared way. And that to me is underrated because at least in marketing, we are still stuck in orchestration and sending out blast emails or looking for AI SDRs to do stuff.
Yeah.
Where in reality is if you still keep the human at the tip, then the agents actually augments you versus just being, a chatbot.
And
So that's why.
It's such a great message, Madhukar. It's, the humans plus AI and that augmentation. I talk about that a lot when I'm on iHeartRadio, and we talk about it a lot on this podcast. It's such an important message for people to understand that there has to be a human in the loop still. Now, as a CEO and founder, my last kind of rapid fire question for you is, and I have two guesses. The question is, what tech tool couldn't you live without? And I'm going to guess agents, but now I'm going to guess it's Robynn. But what is that you are just like, this is fundamental to how I operate as a CEO and a founder?
Yeah, Robynn is something that we have started to use, but candidly, it's still further away when it becomes my day-to-day task. Right now, I would say VS Code, because in VS Code, you can have multiple agents.
Yeah.
And within those agents, not only I can use it to code, but it also does research for me. It does other things within my computer, like go update files, search for it and other stuff. So yeah, I would have not realized that VS Code actually is become my main canvas day in, day out, and I cannot live without it anymore.
That's outstanding. Okay, last question for you. We've talked about agents and the impact to marketing, the impact and the improvements to the marketing tech stack, the strategies and how marketers need to think differently about really leveraging the combination of power of GEO and SEO. If you want marketing leaders to take just one thing away from what we've talked about in the last 25 minutes, what should it be? Is it about agents? Is it about GEO, the evolving CMO role? What's that one takeaway that you think they should be like, got it?
I think it's more around becoming more of an IC, both as a CEO as well as a CMO. So it used to be, which is one thing I really disliked, was you go from being a hands on the keyboard to become a manager of people and then telling people what to do. Now is the time where you have to have that mind shift to actually go back to the keyboard and get a bigger picture because now you have the tools to do it. So I finally think the role of the CEO, founder, and CMO has gone back from being a manager of people to being an IC CMO or an IC CEO. That to me, I think is the biggest takeaway.
Wow, that's a mic drop moment. We'll be putting that on social for sure. Madhukar, thank you so much. You've shared, as always, when I talk to you, practical insights. You shared real world examples. You taught me that it's not GEO, it's GEO. Duh. Thank you. But you talked about agents and the power that they can deliver, the evolution that we're seeing, not just in the technology, in the tech stack, but in the role of marketing leaders. This conversation is what I hoped it would be. It's a masterclass in how marketing leaders can and should stay ahead of the curve. So thank you so much for enlightening the audience and giving us some of your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa. And as always, it's so much fun talking to you.
Yeah. And we want to thank you, the audience, for tuning in to our latest episode of CMOs Unscripted. We never want you to miss one of our bold conversations. So hit subscribe in YouTube. That way you get notified when new episode shorts and shorts drop on social. And if you have a CMO you think would be a great guest, send us a message. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.